They called her pathetic, said she was wasting her life on a man who couldn't even speak. But what they didn't know was that silence can hide a crown. This is a story of how a forgotten girl and a silent bodyguard changed everything. Drop a crown if you believe true love doesn't need words. The conference room smelled like expensive coffee and lies. Jade sat at the end of the long glass table, her fingers twisted together in her lap. Around her, 12 people in sharp suits talked about her father's company like he'd never existed at all. The Winters Empire needs fresh leadership, her Uncle Richard said, not even looking at her. Jade is, well, she's not equipped for this world. Someone laughed. Actually laughed. She was 23 years old, and 6 months ago her father had died in a car accident. 6 months ago, her entire world had shattered like dropped glass. And now these people her father had trusted, were taking everything that was supposed to be hers. I can learn, Jade said quietly. Her voice sounded small in the big room. I want to learn. Dad wanted me to. Your father wanted many things, Richard interrupted. But wanting and reality are different, aren't they? More laughter. Quieter this time, but sharp, like little knives. Jade felt her eyes getting hot. She wouldn't cry. Not here, not in front of them. That's when the door opened. Everyone stopped talking. The man who entered was wrong for this place. He wore all black, simple clothes, not a suit. His shoulders were wide, his walk was silent, and his face showed absolutely nothing. No smile, no frown, nothing. But it was his eyes that made Jade forget to breathe. Dark, steady eyes that saw everything and gave away nothing. Who the hell are you? Richard demanded. The man didn't answer. He just walked around the table, stopped behind Jade's chair, and stood there, waiting. Security! Richard shouted. Remove this. The man pulled out a single piece of paper and placed it on the table in front of Richard. His movements were calm, precise, like everything had been decided already. Richard grabbed the paper, read it, and his face went white. This can't be legal. What is it? Someone asked. Richard's hand was shaking. Actually shaking. It's a contract, signed by James Winters 2 weeks before he died. This man is Jade's personal bodyguard, paid in full for 5 years, with full authority to protect her interests. That's insane. Check the signature, the silent man said. Jade jumped. His voice was deep, quiet, and certain, like rolling thunder far away. It was the only thing he said during the entire meeting. Richard's lawyers checked the contract. They made phone calls. They argued. But the paper was real. The signature was real. And suddenly the vultures couldn't just take everything. Not with him standing there. Your father always knows best. An hour later, Jade sat in her car in the underground parking garage, shaking. The silent bodyguard sat in the driver's seat, waiting. She'd tried to send him away. He'd simply opened the car door for her. She'd said she didn't need protection. He'd checked every shadow in the garage before letting her get in. She'd asked his name 3 times. He'd just started the engine. Now they sat in silence as her hands trembled in her lap. The meeting, the laughing, her uncle's face, the way they'd all looked at her like she was nothing. They think I'm stupid, she whispered. Not to him. Just out loud. Everyone thinks Dad left the company to the wrong person. Silence. Maybe they're right. I studied art history. I don't know anything about business or money or any of it. More silence. Jade turned to look at him. His profile was sharp in the dim light. Strong jaw. Straight nose. Eyes fixed forward. You don't talk much, do you? The corner of his mouth moved. Not quite a smile, but something. He reached over, slowly, carefully, and pressed a button on the dashboard. A small screen lit up with a text message already typed. They're not right, and you're not alone. Jade's breath caught. You don't speak? He typed again, can choose not to. Why? He looked at her then, really looked at her, and in his eyes was something ancient and sad and strong. He typed, words are often lies. Actions are truth. Then he drove her home. The next 3 weeks were strange. The bodyguard, Jade still didn't know his name, was always there, in the apartment her father had left her, outside her bedroom door at night, 3 steps behind her, during the day. At first, it felt like being watched, like being trapped, but slowly it changed. She noticed small things. Her favorite tea appearing on the counter every morning, perfectly warm. She'd never told him what she liked. The blanket draped over her when she fell asleep, crying on the couch, studying business files she barely understood. The way he positioned himself between her and every stranger on the street. The way he never, ever looked at his phone when she was talking. He communicated through text messages on a small tablet he carried. Short messages. Simple ones. Eat. Sleep. You did well today. Jade found herself talking to him more. About her father. About her fear. About the company her uncle was slowly stealing through legal tricks and board votes. He never interrupted. Never judged. Just listened with those dark, steady eyes. Tag someone who listens like this. One night, Jade was studying contract at the kitchen table, nearly crying from frustration. Numbers swam before her eyes. Legal terms made no sense. I can't do this, she whispered. I'm going to lose everything Dad built. The bodyguard set a cup of tea beside her. Then he sat down across the table. The first time he'd ever sat in her presence. He pulled the contract toward himself and began typing on his tablet, pointing at specific sections. This clause. They're using it wrong. Your father protected you here. Jade leaned forward. What do you mean? He typed faster. Board can't vote you out without 75% majority. They only have 68%. Your father knew. He planned for this. How do you know about corporate law? He paused, then typed, I know many things. Who are you? Jade asked. Really? He looked at her for a long moment, then typed, someone who owed your father everything. And now I owe you. You don't owe me anything. Your father saved my life once. I couldn't save his, but I can save what he left behind. Jade felt tears running down her face. I miss him so much. The bodyguard did something he'd never done before. He reached across the table and placed his hand over hers. Just that. Just his warm, calloused hand covering her smaller one. They sat like that until her tears stopped. Days turned into weeks. Jade started learning the business. Really learning it. The bodyguard helped, typing out explanations late into the night. He knew things no ordinary bodyguard should know. Strategy, finance, international trade law. Where'd you learn all this? She asked one evening. He typed, another life. Tell me about it. No. Why not? Because that person is dead, and you don't need ghosts. But Jade was starting to need him, need his presence, his steadicom, the way he made her feel safe in a world that had become dangerous and cold. She noticed other things too. The scar on his neck, usually hidden by his collar. The way he never slept. She'd woken up at 3 a.m. and found him standing by the window, watching the street below. The nightmares. She'd heard him once, a sharp gasp from the room where he stayed. When she'd knocked softly, he'd opened the door with sweat on his forehead and something haunted in his eyes. Are you okay? She'd whispered. He'd nodded, started to close the door. Wait, Jade had said. Do you want to talk about it? He'd typed, I'm supposed to protect you, not burden you. What if I want to be burdened? He'd stared at her, then typed, why? Because you listen to me every single day. Maybe I can listen to you too. He'd hesitated, then stepped aside and led her into his room. Bare walls, a single bed, nothing personal at all. They'd sat on the floor, backs against the wall. And for the first time, he'd typed out pieces of a story. A war, a betrayal, brothers lost. A voice that stopped working the day he'd screamed for help and no help had come. I'm so sorry. Jade had whispered. He'd typed, we're all broken somewhere. The question is what we build with the pieces. We're all broken somewhere. Who else needed to hear this? 3 months after the first meeting, Richard called a charity gala. Family obligation, he'd said with a snake smile. The Winters family must show unity. What he really meant was, come and be humiliated in public. Jade stood in front of her mirror, wearing a simple black dress. She looked tired, scared. The bodyguard appeared in the doorway, wearing an actual suit for the first time. He looked different, powerful, like someone important trying to hide. He held out his tablet. You don't have to go. Yes, I do. If I hide, they win. Then we go together. They'll laugh at me for bringing my bodyguard to a formal event. He typed, let them laugh. I'll be there when they stop. Something warm bloomed in Jade's chest. The gala was exactly as horrible as expected. Rich people in expensive clothes, all whispering when Jade walked by. Her Uncle Richard holding court, telling everyone how he was guiding poor Jade through this difficult transition. Translation, stealing everything. Jade stood alone by the tall windows, watching people dance. The bodyguard stood nearby, silent as always. People gave him strange looks, a servant in the formal room. How inappropriate. Jade Winters, a voice said. She turned to find Marcus Trent, her father's former business partner. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. All alone at your own family's party. How sad. I'm not alone. Marcus glanced at the bodyguard and laughed. Oh, yes, your silent shadow. Tell me, dear, is he house-trained? Does he fetch? Heat rushed to Jade's face. The bodyguard stepped forward, just one step, but suddenly Marcus wasn't laughing anymore. There was something in the bodyguard's eyes. Something that made Marcus remember that dangerous men stay dangerous, even in suits. I should go, Marcus muttered, backing away. Jade's hands were shaking with anger and embarrassment. I hate this. I hate all of this. The bodyguard held out his hand. Jade stared at it. What? He gestured to the dance floor. His tablet was in his pocket. No words this time. Just the offer of his hand. You want to dance? He nodded once. But you don't have to do that. You're working. He kept his hand extended. Patient. Waiting. Jade took it. His hand was warm and strong. He led her onto the floor as a slow song started. People stared. People whispered. But when he placed his hand on her waist and held her close, the rest of the room seemed to disappear. They moved together in silence. He was surprisingly graceful, and the way he looked at her, like she was the only person in the world, made Jade's heart hammer against her ribs. Why are you so kind to me? She whispered. He couldn't answer with words, but his hand tightened slightly on her waist, and he pulled her just a little bit closer. In that moment, Jade realized something terrifying. She was falling in love with a man who wouldn't speak. A man she barely knew. A man who was supposed to be temporary. The hand squeezed. Oh, I'm not crying, you're crying. The attack came 2 nights later. Jade was sleeping when she heard glass breaking. Her bedroom door crashed open and the bodyguard was there, grabbing her arm, pulling her toward a hidden exit she didn't even know existed. What's happening? She gasped. He didn't answer, just pushed her into a narrow passage behind her bookshelf. Behind them, she heard men's voices, rough voices, searching. Find the girl. Check every room. The bodyguard pulled out his phone and typed quickly, Stay silent. Don't move. I'll come back. No. Jade grabbed his arm. Don't leave me. He looked at her, and for the first time, she saw real emotion crack through his calm mask. Fear, not for himself. For her. He typed, Trust me. Then he was gone. Jade huddled in the darkness, shaking. She heard sounds, crashes, a man screaming. Then silence. Minutes crawled by like hours. Then the passage door opened and he was there, blood on his knuckles, breathing hard. Are you hurt? Jade asked, reaching for him. He shook his head. Typed, They're gone. Police coming. Who were they? Men your uncle hired. To scare you. Make you leave. How do you know that? He didn't answer. Just pulled her close, actually hugged her for the first time. His heart was pounding against her cheek. His arms were iron strong but gentle. Jade pressed her face against his chest and cried. The police came. Asked questions. The bodyguard showed him security footage he'd secretly installed. 3 men, professional criminals. Payment traced to a shell company owned by Richard's lawyer. Richard was arrested the next morning. But it wasn't over. The day after the attack, Jade couldn't stop shaking. She sat on her couch, wrapped in blankets, while the bodyguard made tea. "I don't understand," she said. "Why does Richard hate me so much?" "It's just a company." The bodyguard brought her tea, then sat down beside her, close but not touching. He pulled out his tablet. "It's not just a company. Your father's business has ties to something bigger. International contracts, government connections, real power. How do you know this?" He hesitated, then typed, "Because I used to be part of that world." "What world?" "The one where power is everything and people are nothing." Jade set down her tea. "Tell me, please, who are you really?" The bodyguard was quiet for a long time. Then he began typing. The full story this time. His name was Silas. He'd been born in a country Jade had only seen on maps. Born to a family that controlled everything. Wealth, military, government. Born to be a prince. But when he was 19, there was a coup. His family was slaughtered. His older brothers. His parents. Everyone. He'd survived only because one man, a foreign businessman visiting the palace, had hidden him, smuggled him out, given him a new identity. That businessman was Jade's father. James Winters had saved his life, asked for nothing in return, and disappeared back to America. Silas had spent years in hiding, learning to fight, learning to survive, learning that words could be weapons, so he stopped using them. Silence was safer. Then he'd heard James Winters had died, heard his daughter was alone, and Silas had finally found a way to repay the debt. Jade stared at the tablet, reading the words 3 times. "Your royalty?" Was. "Not anymore. That person died with his family." "But if you're alive, doesn't that mean—" "No, I'm dead. Officially. And I'm staying dead." "Why?" he typed. "Because the people who killed my family are still looking for me. And if they find me, everyone near me dies too." Jade's blood went cold. "Am I putting you in danger by keeping you here?" He actually smiled then. Small but real. "Type. You have it backwards. I'm putting you in danger. But I won't let anything happen to you. I swear it." "On what?" "You've already lost everything." "On the only thing I have left. My word." A prince who chose protection over a crown. I'm not okay. Life changed after that night. Silas was still silent, still watchful, but something had shifted between them. He touched her more, small touches, a hand on her shoulder, steadying her elbow, standing close enough that she could feel his warmth. And Jade found herself watching him, the way he moved, the rare times he almost smiled, the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention. One evening, she was cooking dinner badly. She was a terrible cook. Silas was sitting at the kitchen counter, watching with what might have been amusement. "Don't judge me," Jade said, waving a spatula. "Not all of us were raised in a palace." He typed, "Palace food was worse. Trust me." "Really?" "State dinners. I'll show no taste. I'd trade that for burnt pasta any day." Jade laughed. Actually laughed for the first time in months. "You're just being nice." "I don't lie." Their eyes met, held. "Silas," Jade said softly, "can I ask you something?" He nodded. "Do you ever regret it? Giving up your old life? Your title? Your country?" He thought about it, then typed slowly. Every single day. Jade's heart sank, but he kept typing. "I regret that it was necessary. I regret what was taken, but I don't regret where I ended up. In a small apartment with a girl who can't cook, with someone worth protecting." The air between them felt electric, charged. Jade's pulse was racing. "Silas, His phone buzzed. Once. Harsh. He looked at it, and his face changed. Became stone. He typed fast. "Get your coat. We're leaving." "What? Why?" "They found me." 30 minutes later, they were in a car racing through the city. Silas drove like he was born to it. Fast, precise, calm even as headlights appear behind them. Who found you? Jade asked, gripping the door handle. He typed one-handed, not slowing. The people who killed my family. My uncle. He wants to make sure no one can challenge him. Why now? Because someone told him I'm alive. Someone close to you. Jade's stomach dropped. What? Who? I don't know yet, but there's a leak. And until we find it, you're in danger too. Me? I'm nobody. He actually took his eyes off the road for a second to look at her. Typed, "You're not nobody to me." The car behind them accelerated. Closer, closer. Then gunshots. Actual gunshots, cracking through the night air. Silas swerved, cutting through an alley. The car followed. More shots. The rear window shattered, and Jade screamed. Silas reached over and pushed her head down, kept driving. His face was terrifying, not scared, but focused, deadly. They burst out of the alley onto a main street. Traffic everywhere. Silas wove between cars with impossible precision. The attackers couldn't keep up. Finally, he pulled into an underground garage, killed the lights, and waited. Silence. Just their breathing in the dark. Are they gone? Jade whispered. Silas was checking his phone. Then he went completely still. He showed her the screen. It was a message from an unknown number. You can't protect her and fight us. Choose, the girl or your revenge. Below was a photo of Jade's mother, the mother who'd left when Jade was 7, who lived in Oregon now, who Jade barely spoke to but still loved. The photo was taken today. The message was clear. We know where everyone you care about is. Silas looked at Jade, and she saw something break behind his eyes. He typed, I have to leave. What? No. They'll use you to get to me. Use your mother. Use everyone. If I'm gone, you're safe. I don't want to be safe without you. The words came out louder than she meant, more honest than she meant. Silas stared at her, then typed, Jade. No, don't you dare leave me. Not after everything. Not after She stopped, couldn't say it. After you what? After I fell in love with you. The words burst out. Okay? I love you. I love your silence and your strength and the way you look at me like I matter. And I know it's stupid and impossible, and you probably don't feel the same way, but... He kissed her. Just leaned over and kissed her. Gentle but certain. Like he'd been holding back forever and finally couldn't anymore. When he pulled back, Jade was shaking. You kissed me. He typed, I'm still a man. Even if I don't speak. Dude, you feel the same way? I've loved you since the day you cried in the car and said you were scared. Since you asked about MY nightmares. Since you saw a broken bodyguard and treated him like he was worth something. You're worth everything. He kissed her again. Longer this time. And in that kiss was everything he couldn't say out loud. Everything he'd been protecting himself from feeling. But when they broke apart, reality crashed back. They'll kill you to hurt me, he typed. I can't let that happen. Then we fight them. Together. You don't know what you're saying. Yes, I do. You gave up a throne for your safety. Now I'm choosing you over mine. She said it. Loudly crying face drop. A red heart, if you knew she loved him all along. They didn't run. Instead, they went to war. Silas made phone calls. Silent phone calls where he typed and someone on the other end helped. Old allies. People who owed him from his old life. Jade reached out to her father's real friends. The ones Richard hadn't corrupted. Lawyers. Business people. Politicians. Together, they built a plan. But the threat was real. Jade's apartment was destroyed in an electrical fire. Her car was tampered with. Messages came constantly. Send him back or everyone you love disappears. They moved to a safe house. Then another. How long can we keep running? Jade asked one night. Silas typed. Until I find out who betrayed us. And then I stop running. The traitor was discovered 3 weeks later. Marcus Trent, her father's old partner. He'd been feeding information to Silas's uncle the entire time. paid in gold to reveal the location of a dead prince. But why? My father trusted him, Jade said. They built the company together. Silas typed. Money makes people forget loyalty. They found Marcus in his office, packing to run. When he saw them, his face went white. Please, they threatened my family too. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice, Jade said coldly. My father would have protected you. Instead, you sold us out. I'll fix it. I'll tell them I was wrong, that Silas is dead. Too late. Silas typed and showed him. They're coming. Tonight. To finish this. Marcus collapsed in his chair. What have I done? Jade felt no pity. This man had put them in danger, had sold out Silas, had betrayed her father's memory. You've given us the truth, she said. That's all you can do now. They left him there, sobbing. The final stand. The attack came at midnight. 6 men, professional, armed. They surrounded the safe house where Jade and Silas waited. But Silas had prepared. He called in favors. The police were coming, but not fast enough. So he called other people, dangerous people, friends from his old life, who owed him blood debts. When the 6 attackers broke down the door, they found Silas standing in the center of the room, alone. Where's the girl? One of them demanded in a thick accent. Silas just stared, silent. Your uncle wants you alive, the man said, but he didn't say undamaged. Tell us where she is. Silas reached into his pocket, pulled out his tablet, typed something and turned it around. Come and find her. The fight was brutal. Silas moved like water and struck like lightning. These were trained soldiers, but Silas had been trained by the best in the world. He disarmed the first man in seconds, broke the second man's arm, dodged bullets like he could see the future. But there were too many. A knife opened his shoulder. A fist cracked his ribs. He kept fighting, kept moving, protecting the door that led to where Jade was hidden. One of the attackers got past him, rushed toward the back rooms. Silas's heart stopped, but then the back door opened and there was Jade, holding a gun her father had taught her to use years ago. Her hands were shaking, but her eyes were clear. Get away from him, she said. The attacker laughed. Little girl. She shot him. Not to kill, she aimed for his leg. The man went down screaming. Silas stared at her, shocked, proud, terrified. Then sirens, flashing lights. The cavalry arrived. The police arrested 4 men. 2 escaped, and through interrogation, they learned the truth. Silas's uncle was dying. Cancer. He had 6 months to live. And he wanted to make sure that no possible heir could challenge his son's claim to the throne. He's desperate, Jade said as they sat in yet another safe house, both bandaged and exhausted. Desperate people make mistakes. Silas typed, or they become more dangerous. So what do we do? He looked at her for a long time, then typed, I have to go back. Back where? Home. To my country. Face him directly. That's suicide. It's the only way to end this. If I challenge him publicly, his son won't have legal claim. The court will have to decide. They'll kill you. Maybe. Jade grabbed his hands. No, we've come this far. We'll find another way. There is no other way. And I won't let you live in fear forever. Then I'm coming with you. He shook his head. Yes, Jade insisted. You don't get to protect me anymore. We protect each other. That's how this works. Jade, I love you, and I'm not letting you walk into danger alone. He pulled her close, held her tight, and for the first time since she'd known him, she felt him shake, not with fear, with something deeper. He pulled back and typed, If you come, everything changes. You'll be tied to me, to my past, to whatever happens. Good. You could die. So could you. I'm already dead, remember? Officially. Then let's go make you undead. He almost smiled, then kissed her, soft and desperate, and full of everything words could never say. They're going back together. I can't handle this. Type yes if you're ready for the ending. They flew to his country, in secret, a small nation nestled between mountains, rich with oil and history and violence. Jade had never left America before. Now she was walking into a war zone with a man who'd given up his crown. Silas's old allies met them at the border. Men and women who'd served his family, who'd waited years for this moment. "My prince," they said, kneeling. Silas gestured for them to rise. Typed, "I'm not your prince. Not yet." "Then what are you?" one of them asked. He looked at Jade, then typed, "I'm a man who's tired of hiding." The challenge was issued publicly, through news stations, through social media, through every channel possible. Prince Silas Kai, eldest surviving son of the royal family, was alive, and he was calling for a trial of right, an ancient tradition where disputed heirs could challenge each other before the high court. The country exploded. Half the people thought it was a trick. Half thought it was a miracle. The government tried to deny it, but too many people remembered Silas, remembered his face. His uncle, dying desperate, had no choice but to accept the challenge. The trial of right wasn't a fight. It was worse. It was questions, evidence, public testimony, a battle of truth and law and history. Silas had to prove he was who he claimed, prove his family had been murdered illegally, prove his uncle was guilty of treason, and he had to do it without speaking. The high court was skeptical. How can we trust a man who won't use his voice? Jade stood. She wasn't supposed to speak. She wasn't family, wasn't royalty, wasn't even a citizen. But she stood anyway. "He doesn't speak because words failed him once," she said, her voice echoing in the ancient chamber. "When he screamed for help and no one came. When he watched his family die and promises meant nothing. Who are you to speak for him?" the chief judge demanded. "Someone who learned that silence can be stronger than noise, that actions matter more than speeches, and that this man, this prince, has spent years protecting people who couldn't protect themselves." She pulled out documents, evidence Silas had gathered, proof of the coup, bank transfers, communications, everything. He could have come back years ago and demanded his throne. Jade continued, but he waited. He learned. He became more than just a title. And now he's here not because he wants power, but because he wants justice. The courtroom was silent. Silas stood, walked to the center, and did something he hadn't done in 10 years. He spoke. "My uncle murdered innocents." His voice was rough and used, but clear. "He stole a crown built on peace and turned it into a weapon, and I have stayed silent long enough." The courtroom erupted. The trial lasted 3 days. Evidence mounted. Testimonies piled up. Silas's uncle, sick and desperate, finally broke. "Yes," he screamed. "Yes, I ordered it. They were weak. The country needed strength." "You needed power," Silas said quietly. "There's a difference." The verdict was unanimous. Silas was the rightful heir. His uncle was arrested. His cousin, the uncle's son, renounced all claims to avoid prosecution. And just like that, the silent bodyguard became a king. The coronation was 3 weeks later. Silas stood in the ancient throne room, wearing robes that felt foreign and familiar at the same time. Thousands of people watched. Cameras broadcast the world. But his eyes were only on one person. Jade stood in the crowd, wearing a simple dress, not a gown, not royal clothes, just herself. The high priest began the ceremony. Ancient words in an ancient language. The crown was brought forward, gold and heavy with history. "Prince Silas Kai," the priest said, "do you swear to protect this nation, to serve its people above yourself, to rule with wisdom and strength?" Silas looked at the crown, then at Jade. Then he did something no one expected. He spoke to the crowd. "I swear to serve, to protect, to lead." His voice was stronger now, clear, "But I will not rule alone." Whispers erupted. Silas walked down the steps, away from the throne, walked straight to Jade. "What are you doing?" she whispered. He knelt, actually knelt in front of her, in front of everyone. "I gave up this crown once to survive," he said out loud. "I took it back to protect you. But a crown means nothing without someone to share it with." Jade's eyes filled with tears. Silas, you taught me that silence is a choice, not a prison. That broken things can heal. That love is stronger than fear. He pulled out a ring. Simple silver, nothing fancy. I don't have a speech prepared. I never do, but I have a question. The entire throne room held its breath. Will you be my queen? Jade was crying now. I'm not royalty. I'm just a girl who inherited a company and couldn't even keep it. You kept me, Silas said. You kept yourself. You kept your father's memory alive. You're the strongest person I know. I'm terrified. So am I. I don't know how to be a queen. I barely know how to be a king. We'll learn together. Jade looked at the ring. At him. At the thousands of people watching. She thought about her father. About the silent bodyguard who'd walked into that conference room. About every cup of tea, every typed message, every moment of protection and trust. Yes, she whispered. Then louder. Yes. Silas stood and kissed her. In front of everyone. In front of the cameras. In front of the entire world. And the crowd erupted in cheers. The priests looked confused. The advisors looked panicked. The guards looked at each other, unsure what to do. Then an old woman stepped forward from the crowd. She was tiny, wrinkled, wearing traditional clothes. Who are you? An advisor demanded. I am Grandmother Yara, she said in a voice like iron. I served the royal family for 60 years. I changed Prince Silas's first diaper. And I say this, a king who chooses love over tradition is a king worth following. She turned to the crowd. This boy lost everything, but he never lost his heart. And this girl, this foreign girl, she saw a broken man and loved him anyway. That is the kind of queen we need. More cheers. Louder now. The high priest looked at Silas, at Jade. Then he smiled. The first time in the entire ceremony. Very well, he said. Then we crowned them both. The double coronation. They were crowned together. King Silas and Queen Jade. Two broken people who'd found each other in the darkness and chosen to build something in the light. The celebration lasted 3 days. People danced in the streets. The country that had been torn by violence and greed now had hope. But on the third night, Silas and Jade slipped away from the palace, walked through the gardens alone. Do you regret it? Jade asked, coming back, taking the throne. Every day, Silas said, then smiled. But I don't regret you. Never you. Are you going to keep talking now? Or go back to being silent? Depends. Do you miss the silence? Sometimes, Jade admitted. Those messages were intimate, like secrets. Silas pulled out his old tablet, the one he'd used for months. He typed something and showed her. Then I'll save my words for the world, and save my secrets for you. Jade laughed. You're impossible. You love impossible. I love you. He kissed her, soft and slow under the stars. What happens now? Jade asked when they pulled apart. Now we rule. Together, we make mistakes. We learn. We try to be better than the people who came before us. That's terrifying. Yes, but we do it together? Always together. Together, always. Comment King and Queen if you're sobbing. 6 months later, Queen Jade stood in the conference room, not unlike the one where she'd met Silas. But this time, she wasn't being talked over. She was leading. The education reform will begin in the northern provinces, she said, pointing to a map. We'll expand from there. The advisors nodded. Some had doubted her at first. A foreign queen? An American with no royal blood? But she'd proven herself. Smart, determined, fair, and she had something they didn't. She understood what it meant to be powerless, to be dismissed, to be afraid. She made laws that protected people, not just power. After the meeting, she found Silas in the throne room, staring at old portraits of his family. You okay? She asked. He nodded, spoke out loud now. Just remembering, they would have liked you. You think? My mother would have loved your fire. My father would have respected your mind. My brothers... He smiled sadly. They would have fought over who got to make you laugh first. Jade took his hand. Tell me about them? And he did, for hours. Stories of brothers who wrestled in palace halls, a mother who sang off-key, a father who snuck cookies before dinner. The memories didn't hurt as much anymore, because now he had new memories. Good ones. With her. But peace never lasts forever. The message came on a Tuesday, delivered by a terrified messenger who'd found it nailed to the palace gates. Jade read it and felt ice flood her veins. A false king and a foreign whore. You think you've won? The true blood will return, and when it does, you'll both burn. Below the words was a symbol, the mark of Silas's uncle's followers, the ones who'd escaped justice. Silas read it, his face unreadable. Then he typed on his tablet, still his preferred method for private thoughts. They're coming back. How many? Jade asked. Enough. Then we fight them. Not we. Me. This is my fight. Jade grabbed the tablet from his hands. Don't you dare. We're past this. We don't separate. We don't hide. We face things together or not at all. They'll target you to hurt me. Good. Let them try. She moved closer. I'm not the scared girl in the conference room anymore. I'm a queen. You're a queen. And I don't run. Silas stared at her, then pulled her into his arms and held her like she might disappear. How did I get so lucky? He whispered against her hair. You didn't. You earned it every single day. Over the next 2 weeks, more signs appeared. Graffiti on buildings. Protests in the southern provinces. Anonymous threats flooding the palace servers. The rebels were organizing. Silas called in his most trusted advisors, military leaders, intelligence officers, people who'd helped him take back the throne. They're building an army, General Kale said, spreading maps across the table. Small groups, scattered, but coordinated. Your uncle's son is leading them from hiding. I thought he renounced his claim. Jade said. He lied. Kale replied. He's been gathering loyalists. People who think your rule is illegitimate. That foreign blood has tainted the throne. Jade felt the words like a slap. Foreign blood. They meant her. Silas's hand found hers under the table. Squeezed. How long do we have? He asked. A month. Maybe less. They're waiting for something. Some signal. Then we don't wait, Jade said. Everyone looked at her. We go to them first. We talk to the people. Show them we're not hiding. That's suicide. An advisor protested. No, Silas said quietly. It's leadership. Against every advisor's recommendation, they went on a tour, through the provinces, through the villages, meeting people face to face. Some loved them, cheered their names, brought flowers and gifts. Others threw rocks. In one town, an old man spat at Jade's feet. Foreign witch, you poison our prince's mind. Jade stopped. Her guards moved forward, but she waved them back. I know you're angry, she said calmly. I know I'm not what you expected, not what you wanted. You're nothing, the man shouted. Maybe, but I love this country, because I love your king, and I'm trying every day to earn the right to stand beside him. You'll never be one of us. You're right. I won't. I'll always be foreign, always be different. But maybe that's not weakness. Maybe that's perspective. She looked around at the gathering crowd. I see things you can't see because you're too close. And Silas sees things I can't see because I'm too far. Together we see everything. Silence. Then a woman stepped forward. Older. Weathered. My son died in the coup, when the old king's brother murdered the royal family. Jade's heart clenched. I'm so sorry. My son believed in the old ways, in honor, in truth. The woman looked at Silas. You were just a boy when it happened, but you survived, and now you've come back. She turned to Jade, and you stood beside him when no one else would. The woman knelt. I believe in you, both of you. One by one, others knelt too. Not everyone, but enough. The old man who'd spat walked away, still angry, but he didn't throw stones. The old woman kneeling, loudly crying face, I'm destroyed. Drop A folded hands if you believe in them. The attack came on the road back to the capital. 3 cars. Armed men. Blocking the path. Silas's cousin stepped out, the one who'd supposedly renounced his claim. He was young, maybe 25, with hard eyes. "Hello, cousin," he said. "Or should I say, fake king?" Silas got out of the car, slowly. Jade tried to follow, but he gestured for her to stay. "You gave up your claim," Silas said. His voice was steady. "I lied. You think I'd let some silent coward and his foreign plaything steal my birthright? Your father murdered mine. My father was strong. Yours was weak. And you," he laughed, "you ran away and hid. What kind of king does that? The kind who waits for the right moment. This isn't your moment. This is mine." The cousin raised his hand. His men raised guns. But Silas didn't move. Didn't flinch. "Shoot me," Silas said quietly. "Right here, in front of everyone." The cousin hesitated. There were witnesses. Villagers from the nearby town. Cameras. "You can kill me," Silas continued, "but you'll never have the throne, because the people won't follow a murderer. They've had enough of that. They'll forget. No, they won't, because she won't let them." Silas turned and looked at Jade. She stood beside the car, holding a phone, recording everything. Waved to the camera. Jade said to the cousin, "Let the whole country see what you really are." The cousin's face went white. The feed was live, streaming to thousands, tens of thousands. He'd walked into a trap. "You planned this," he hissed. "We planned to give you a choice," Silas said. "Take it now. Surrender and face trial. Or run and be hunted forever." The cousin looked at his men, at the cameras, at the growing crowd of villagers watching. Then he ran. His men scattered. Some dropped their weapons and surrendered. Others fled into the hills. But the rebellion was over. Everyone had seen the truth. The cousin was captured 3 days later, hiding in a monastery, ironically seeking sanctuary in the same place Silas had once hidden. He was tried, found guilty of conspiracy and attempted murder. But Silas did something unexpected. He didn't execute him, didn't imprison him for life. "You're young," Silas said at the sentencing, "poisoned by your father's lies. So I'm giving you a choice." The courtroom went silent. 5 years of service. Real service. Working in the provinces you tried to turn against us. Building schools. Digging wells. Helping people. "That's not punishment," someone protested. "No," Silas agreed. "It's redemption. If he wants it." His cousin stared at him. "Why?" "Because someone once showed me mercy when I deserved none. Because cycles of revenge have to end somewhere." Silas looked at Jade. "Because someone taught me that love is stronger than hate." The cousin dropped his head. "I accept." 1 year later, Jade stood in the same palace gardens where Silas had proposed. But now she wasn't alone. A small sound came from the bundle in her arms. Tiny. Perfect. Their daughter, Princess Anya, named after Silas's mother. Silas appeared beside her, moving silently despite everything. Some habits never died. "She's finally asleep," Jade whispered. "For now," Silas said, smiling. He spoke more now, but still chose his words carefully. Still carried his tablet for private thoughts. They stood together, watching the sunset paint the sky gold and purple. "Do you ever think about how we started?" Jade asked. "Every day." A silent bodyguard and a scared girl. A prince in hiding and the daughter of the man who saved him. We were so broken. Silas pulled her close, careful not to wake the baby. "We still are, just broken together, which is better." "Is it strange?" "Being happy, terrifying," he admitted. "Every day I wake up afraid it's a dream. That I'll open my eyes and be back in that war. That you'll be gone. I'm not going anywhere. Promise. Promise." Baby Anya stirred, making small sleeping sounds. She had Silas's dark eyes and Jade's stubborn chin. A perfect mix of 2 worlds. "What do you think she'll be?" Jade wondered. "Strong," Silas said immediately. "Like her mother." "Brave." like her father. Hopefully less broken than both of us. Or maybe just broken in new ways. And she'll find someone to be broken with. Silas kissed Jade's temple. That's all any of us can hope for. 2 years after taking the throne, Jade stood in a conference room. Not the one where the story began, but similar. Glass walls, expensive chairs, serious people. Except this time, she was the one at the head of the table. The education initiative is working, she told the gathered ministers. Literacy rates are up 15%. Child mortality is down. We're making progress. All due to your leadership, your majesty, one of them said. Jade smiled. All due to teamwork. Mine, yours, the people's. After the meeting, she found Silas in their private chambers, playing with Anya on the floor. The mighty king, reduced making silly faces at a toddler. She's got you wrapped around her finger. Jade teased. Completely. Silas agreed without shame. Jade sat beside them, and Anya immediately crawled into her lap. Mama, the baby said, one of her first words. Yes, love. Papa quiet. Jade and Silas both laughed. Yes, Papa is quiet sometimes, Jade said. But that's okay, because when he talks, it matters. Silas pulled out his tablet. He still used it with Jade, their private language. He typed, Do you remember that first day when I walked into your meeting? Of course. You scared everyone half to death. I was scared too. Thought I'd just protect you from a distance. Keep you safe. Leave when the job was done. What changed? You asked about my nightmares. No one had ever done that before. Jade leaned against him. I'm glad I did. Me too. They sat like that, king, queen, and princess, as the sunset painted their kingdom in shades of gold. Broken people who'd built something beautiful. A silent man who'd found his voice. A scared girl who'd become a queen. And a love story that had changed everything. They called her pathetic for loving a man who wouldn't speak. They laughed at her for trusting a silent bodyguard. They said she was wasting her life on someone who was beneath her. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't see, was that silence isn't weakness. Sometimes silence is strength. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one who understands everything. And sometimes love doesn't need words. King Silas and Queen Jade ruled for 30 years. They made mistakes. They faced challenges. They fought new battles and won new victories. But they never forgot where they started. Two broken people in a broken world, choosing to heal together. And isn't that what love really is? Not perfection. Not fairy tales. Just two people who see each other's scars and say, I'll stay anyway. That's the story of how a bodyguard became a king. How a scared girl became a queen. How silence became a language all its own. And how love, real love, changed everything. 25 years later, Princess Anya sat in her mother's old study, now hers. She was a woman now, preparing to take the throne herself someday. On the desk was a letter, sealed with wax. Her father's handwriting on the envelope. To my daughter, when she's ready. She opened it with trembling hands. Anya, by the time you read this, you'll be grown, maybe facing your own battles, your own fears. I'm writing this to tell you the truth about silence. I stopped speaking because words failed me once, but I started speaking again because of your mother. She taught me that silence is a choice, not a prison. You'll face people who try to make you small, who say you're not enough, not strong enough, not royal enough, not traditional enough. Remember this. Your mother was called a foreign nobody. I was called a coward. Look what we built anyway. Don't let other people's voices drown out your own. But also, and this is important, learn when to be silent, when to listen, when to let actions speak louder than words. True strength isn't always loud. True love isn't always easy. True power isn't always obvious. Be strong, my daughter. Be silent when you need to be. Be loud when you must be. But always, always be yourself. With all my love, your father. Anya wiped tears from her eyes. Then she pulled out a tablet. the same one her father had carried for years, now an heirloom, and typed a message to both her parents. I understand now. Thank you for showing me how to be broken and beautiful at the same time. She sent it, and somewhere in the palace, her parents, older now, grayer, but still together, read it and smiled. The end. Final words. Sometimes the best love stories aren't about perfect people. They're about broken people who choose each other every single day, who learn each other's languages, even when one of those languages is silence, who build thrones out of trust, kingdoms out of kindness, and legacies out of love. They laughed at her for loving the silent bodyguard, until he took the throne, until she became the queen, until their love story became legend. And now you know the truth. True love doesn't need words. It just needs someone willing to listen to the silence. If this story touched your heart, type, "They chose each other." Subscribe for more emotional stories that will make you believe in love again. Thank you